Welcome to my temporary studio in my knife workshop. But today's video is not about knives. It's about a big fluff, Eric Dubay. One of Eric Dubay's latest video have a bit strange title to be made by a flurf. The title of this video is How to Silence a Flat Earther Forever. Let's have a look at this dumpster fire.
Whether you believe the Earth to be flat, globular, hollow, concave, or otherwise.
Eric, I don't believe that we live on a globe. I know that we live on a globe. All evidence points to that, and I've seen it with my own eyes. For instance, radar have a horizon. I've seen ships disappear with the bottom first over the horizon. I can make a very long list why I'm sure that the globe is a globe and not a flat pizza.
The freedom to independently travel and explore the Earth, from the North Pole to whatever exists south of the South Pole, to any and everywhere else, should be a fundamental and unalienable right. Military vessels near the North Pole and Antarctica have repeatedly barred independent teams of explorers from traveling into these heavily patrolled and restricted waters.
No one is stopping anyone to go to the North Pole. It's not so easy to go there, but it's possible. For instance, this is the Swedish icebreaker, and earlier this year she visited the North Pole for the 11th time with a team of scientists. And here you have some gang that are on their way to North Pole by skis, and no soldiers was stopping them. Take a flight to Greenland, take your skis and ski to the North Pole, and you will find out there are no soldiers stopping you. And the same goes for the South Pole. There are no soldiers guarding the South Pole. It's your fantasies, Eric.
The Antarctic Treaty prevents all independent travel south of the 60th degree south latitude, where rebels like Jarl Andahoy and his team have been repeatedly turned around at gunpoint, jailed, and fined for daring to attempt.
I will make a separate video about that topic, about those daredevils that was trying to get to the South Pole and was stopped by evil soldiers and put into prison. Oh dear.
What is so important in Antarctica that 53 of the most powerful countries in the world have agreed to patrol and enforce harsh restrictions and penalties on anyone who attempts to independently explore it? Why has the entire continent of Antarctica and everywhere else on Earth below the 60th south parallel been caged off from us?
Eric, instead of making things up, read the damn treaty instead. I will make a longer video about the Antarctic Treaty and why we have that treaty. It's not to force people or stop them from visiting. It's other reasons, and if you read it you would understand. Perhaps not reading and understanding, and Eric Dubay, no, of course, he wouldn't understand the treaty even if he read it.
The only way we can experience Antarctica is by being a government employee and working at one of their bases, or doing one of their overpriced penguin tours along the Antarctic coast. no one, even these very few humans, is granted the freedom to explore the continent.
And still there are people that have skied to Antarctica, to the South Pole, and they wasn't employed by the government, they wasn't scientists, adventurers. But are all that have visited the South Pole agents of some kind? Of course not.
So even they are clueless as to what may exist at the furthest southern extents of the Earth. The world's governments, militaries, media, schools, and literally everyone else except flat earthers claim with conviction and wholeheartedly believe that the South Pole is the southernmost extent of their globe. And by definition, this must be the case, because to continue traveling southwards beyond this southernmost point is tantamount to traveling northwards. If the Earth is not a globe, however, and is actually an extended level plane, as claimed by flat earthers, continuing to travel south of the South Pole would not and could not bring the traveler back north.
I understand that it's quite hard to travel over the whole Antarctica, but why don't you flat earthers raise money and sail around it and see if you find any hidden land on the other side? Because no one would stop you if you want to sail around Antarctica.
On a flat Earth, the traveler would instead continue southwards into unknown southern territories that don't exist on a globe.
And they don't exist in reality. You have no proof for that silly claim. There are no pictures, there are no maps showing this. It's pure fantasies and lies, Eric.
If NASA, the world's governments, militaries, media, academia, and or anyone else involved in maintaining the legitimacy of the globe concept truly wanted to shut up flat earthers once and for all, this is how easy it would be. Allow for independent travel south of the South Pole, or livestream a full south to north circumnavigation of the supposed globe, starting in Antarctica and traveling south.
Eric, why would anyone spend money on that trip to convince flat earthers? If some government spent money on a live broadcast when they circumnavigate the South Pole to convince you and the other flat earth fools, you would say it's CGI, it's fake, and so on. There are videos showing the 24-hour sun at the South Pole, and you and your flat earth friends claims it's fake. So why would you believe that kind of video?
Show the world's flat earthers that traveling south of the South Pole will somehow bring you north. At the very least, show us what happens when a plane travels perfectly straight in any direction, starting from anywhere on Earth for 48 hours.
There were a plane some years ago that made a pole-to-pole circumnavigation, and they was broadcasting live and you could follow it, but you flat earthers claimed it was fake. I forgot earlier, I will link the offer for flat earthers to fly with a professional pilot over the South Pole, the Antarctica.
If Earth is truly a ball 24,900 miles in circumference, as we are taught, traveling perfectly straight in any direction, starting from anywhere on Earth, at an average flight speed of 550 miles per hour, the globe model claims the plane will circumnavigate the entire circumference and return to its original starting point.
There were a plane some years ago that made a pole-to-pole circumnavigation, and they was broadcasting live and you could follow it, but you flat earthers claimed it was fake. I forgot earlier, I will link the offer for flat earthers to fly with a professional pilot over the South Pole, the Antarctica.
On a flat Earth, however, a plane traveling in a perfectly straight line, never deviating left or right, regardless of where it starts or which direction it travels, will eventually reach the Antarctic. Why has such a simple experiment never been performed in aviation history?
This type of flights have been made, but you and your silly friends always claim that it is fake. So it's impossible to convince you. Why spend money on you to try to convince you about something you don't want to believe?
Are we globe earthers and flat earthers alike content and complacent enough with what we are told to simply trust it as truth? Children are taught in school that explorers like Magellan and others have traveled in perfectly straight lines eastwards or westwards and eventually arrived back at their starting point. It's universally heralded as proof of the globe, and most adults today still believe such circumnavigations have actually occurred. The truth of the matter is, however, that all successful circumnavigations in history, whether by sea or air, have followed the same pattern, which is sailing or flying the most convenient route from port to port, stopping for supplies and refueling until a complete circle has been made.
Eric bases his whole video on his belief, not on any facts at all. He claims, and claims again, without any kind of evidence at all.
Not a single sailor or aviator in history has or could travel only in the same one perfectly straight direction and magically arrive back where they began.
Once again, Eric, why would anybody do that? If you're sailing, you have to take into account that you have land masses. The only where you only can do that would be close to the South Pole. So why would anyone know that? We know that we live on a globe. We have no need to convince you and your foolish friends that we live on a globe.
This ridiculous lie becomes obvious when critically examined, but when taught to young children, successfully bends and warps their minds into accepting globe indoctrination. Unlike the cardinal directions on a compass rose, north, south, east, and west on Earth are not simply straight lines separated by 90 degrees. North, rather than being an upward shooting arrow, is actually a point, a center point, the center point of the entire Earth, known as the geographic North Pole, situated directly below Polaris, the North Pole star, the only motionless star in the heavens, which marks the exact center point of the sky. South, rather than being a downward shooting arrow, is actually every line tangent to the northern center point, or in other words, every straight line extending outwards from the North Pole heads due south. East and west, rather than being right and left facing arrows, are actually clockwise and counterclockwise circles around the pole.
And there you're on it again. You're claiming things without evidence. I will give you a simple question, Eric. Where is a working flat Earth map? Can you show me a working map? Because all maps and charts we are using are globe projections based on a globe. Explain that. How can we manage to navigate on land, in the air, on sea, on maps based on a globe?
The sun, moon, and stars all rise in the east and set in the west, making perfect circles over and around us every day. As you can observe, they travel in a circular westward path over and around the Earth, and do not all travel in a straight leftward direction as suggested by a compass rose. Likewise, navigators since ancient times have used Polaris to guide their ships, knowing that Polaris was the heavenly North Pole. South was traveling keeping your back to Polaris. East meant traveling always keeping your left shoulder 90 degrees to Polaris, and west meant traveling always keeping your right shoulder 90 degrees to Polaris.
Okay, and how do you explain that you don't see Polaris south of the equator?
So, put up, or shut up, globe apologists. If we are truly free, show us what happens when you go straight in a plane for 24 or 48 hours.
Flying straight for 24 or 48 hours in a plane. Which plane can fly so long distances or for so long time? And why would we spend all that fuel? To convince you? Are you serious? If you want to do this type of experiments, why don't you raise money? You're quite good on raising money from your audience. Spend them on some real experiments to try to prove your foolish worldview, your foolish flat Earth.
If Earth is truly a globe, show us what happens when you travel south of the South Pole. We have never been shown or allowed to perform such a simple experiment. If NASA, the world's governments, militaries, media, academia, and or anyone else involved in upholding the globe truly wanted to prove their model and shut up every single flat earther once and for all, this is how easy it would be.
If someone did, for instance, flying around as Eric wants, or traveling south or circumnavigating the Antarctica and filmed it, Eric and his friends would say it's fake CGI and so on. And I don't understand one thing with Eric. He demands that we should do this. We who knows that we live on a globe. Why would we spend money on Eric Dubay and the others? Flat earthers are not important in any way, shape or form. The problem with flat earth, as I see it, it's a gateway to other conspiracies that are more harmful. Flat earth is not harmful in any way, according to me. I will make more videos about Antarctica, Antarctic Treaty and so on. It will take a while, but I will do them. Go into that topics in more depth. Once again, thank you everybody helping me, helping Ukraine. Tomorrow I will send 2 more drones to Ukraine. Thank you. That was all for this time. A bit different video than my normal. I'm training in my new temporary studio. So I will try on my next videos the form, how the look of the videos and so on. Please leave a comment in the comment section. I would be happy to know what you think about my new styles on videos. I'm working on it. It's work in progress, but I'm trying to make it better. See you soon. Have a nice day. Bye.